Once upon a time in South Africa, there was a young woman named Sarah who was 23 years old. She was kind of short, standing at 5 feet 5 inches, and she had a small frame and a youthful face which made her look much younger than she was. Now, Sarah often found herself in uncomfortable situations because, let's be honest, she attracted a lot of attention that she didn't want. It's probably because she was a part-time model, and also because she lived in a place where crime was pretty common. And if you ask around, a lot of people in South Africa would tell you they've had similar experiences. One sunny day, Sarah decided to spend some time with her mom at the mall. They planned to have a fun day shopping for clothes and makeup. But while they were out, Sarah noticed her mom kept looking around like she was worried about something. Curious, Sarah asked her mom what was wrong. Her mom leaned in and whispered that a man was giving Sarah strange looks. She pointed to a man behind them. Sarah's mom was always super protective, sometimes even a bit too much, but Sarah knew it was because her mom loved her a lot. So, Sarah glanced back and saw a tall guy dressed in heavy winter clothes, which was odd because it was super hot that day. They were both wearing light summer dresses and sandals to keep cool in the heat, but this man was dressed like he was ready for a snowstorm. They both agreed it was a bit odd and moved to a different aisle, hoping to avoid him. However, no matter where they went, this man seemed to pop up right behind them. After about 10 minutes of this strange game of follow the leader, Sarah's mom said she had a bad feeling and wanted to leave. So they both headed for the mall exit, not even bothering to buy anything. As they walked out, Sarah noticed the man was still following them, but keeping some distance. It was really creepy. They didn't think to tell security, they just wanted to get out of there fast. When they reached the parking lot, the man finally caught up with them. He came up close and asked if they knew where he could find a phone repair place. This was strange, because they had just walked past several repair shops on their way out. Sarah's mom didn't hesitate. She grabbed Sarah's arm, pulled her back, and told the man they couldn't help him. They turned to walk away, but the man insisted. He showed them his phone and said it was very important for him to get it fixed. He looked frustrated and then asked Sarah directly, pleading because he said he wasn't good with English. Sarah's mom was having none of it. She tightened her grip on Sarah's arm and they both hurried towards their car. The man's face was turning into a scowl, showing his frustration at being denied help. Sarah began to feel a little sorry for the man. She thought maybe he was just a visitor who didn't know his way around and needed some help. She started to explain, "Look, there's a shop just inside the mall on the left. You really can't miss it." But the man was insistent, asking Sarah to show him the way because he was struggling with English. Her mom, though, was not having it. She held on to Sarah even tighter and repeated firmly, "We can't help you." She was actually trembling at this point. The man seemed to understand they wouldn't help and walked away. Now, this mall has some big white columns right at the exit. They're so large you can't see what's on the other side, and they have these bushy plants around them for decoration. And that's when the weirdest thing happened. Another man popped out from behind one of these columns and snapped a picture of Sarah with a flash. It was all so quick that Sarah and her mom were frozen in shock, not even able to scream or do anything. Before they could react, both the picture-taking man and the man who had been following them dashed off into the parking lot, jumped into a car, and zoomed away. Sarah's mom was still holding her arm super tight as they tried to make sense of what just happened. They decided to go back inside and get the security team involved, something they now realized they should have done earlier. The security guard told them something chilling. There had been reports of women disappearing from this very mall and not long ago. They hadn't seen it in the news, but the guard said there were stories about missing women who still hadn't been found. Sarah wasn't sure if what happened to her and her mom was connected to those other women, but it seemed too weird to be a coincidence. They went to the police, who promised to check the security cameras in the mall, but the police never called them back with any news. Sarah shared her story as a warning to others. She realized that if her mom hadn't been so cautious and alert, they might not have noticed the man following them at all, and who knows what might have happened then. Once upon a time, I was a 24-year-old woman starting a new chapter in my life as the boss of a spa place not too close to where I lived. It took me half an hour to drive there and back every day. On one late evening, we had to stay open till 9 p.m., and there was no one else but me to lock up because we didn't have enough people to help at the front desk. After finishing up, I headed home. My drive was usually on a big road where cars go really fast, and both my workplace and home were in areas with lots of people and houses around. So, there I was, halfway back to my place, when I found myself behind a big truck that was moving way too slowly in the fast lane. I thought about passing it, but you're supposed to pass on the left, and I was already there. I flicked my car's lights to politely ask the driver to let me by, which is what most drivers would do, but not this one. So I just passed the truck using the right lane and kept driving. But a bit later, I noticed a vehicle zooming up behind me really quickly. I moved over to let them pass, but instead this car, the same big truck I'd passed before, got super close behind me. I'm talking so close I couldn't see their lights in my mirror anymore, and I was already driving at 80 miles an hour. My car was small and light, and if that truck hit me, it would be really bad. I tried to switch lanes again, hoping the truck would just go past. Nope, it stuck to me like glue. This went on and on until my exit was coming up. I thought maybe I'd finally shake them off there. I got my phone ready just in case they kept up their scary game. As I slowed down for the exit, the truck did too, staying right by me and even tried to push my car with theirs. I managed to sneak a quick look at the driver. He was a regular-looking guy, probably in his 40s with brown hair. Oh, and he had a bat with him. Not exactly someone you forget easily. I shouted at him, asking what on earth he was doing, and floored it to speed away. He kept on my tail through the toll booth. I thought, at least the cameras would catch his plate now. Trying to leave the highway, he tried to push me off the road again. I got a good look at his truck, a big black Ford with its back window all covered up with sticky silver tape. I even memorized part of his license plate number. I knew I had to be smart. No way was I going to stop and let him get me. I was a young woman, all alone, and he might have even more dangerous things than that bat. So I called my dad, heart pounding like crazy. I told him I was coming to his place and asked him to wait outside, ready to protect me. That's how scared I was. Dad said to head to the cops instead. If the truck followed me there, I should honk like mad. So off I went to the police, just 5 minutes away. The truck disappeared before I got there. When I arrived at the police station, I was a mess, shaking and struggling to speak. The cop there didn't seem to care much. He told me I needed to talk to the highway police because it all started on the turnpike. He called them and gave me the phone, but the person on the other end just hung up on me. I asked the cop to call them back. The next one I spoke to asked me where I got off the highway and told me to go talk to a different police station. It felt like no one wanted to deal with my problem. I mentioned the toll booth cameras to the highway police, but it was like talking to a wall. After the call, the local cop just gave me the address for the other station and didn't even offer to make sure I got to my car safely outside. And there I was, feeling all alone with no help. I was still shaking when I walked back to my car, my eyes darting around for that truck. Alone, I drove the 10-minute stretch to the other police station, my mind racing with fear that the truck was lurking somewhere behind me. The first police station's response was nothing compared to what awaited me. At the second station, I approached the front desk, my voice wavering as I recounted being shuffled around. They gestured to a chair and mentioned an officer would be over to take my report. A young officer, probably as young as me, strolled over with an air of irritation. I poured out my story, the fear, the chase, the truck on my tail, speeding through the toll booth, but as I spoke he rolled his eyes. he brushed it off as just an angry driver. When I insisted that the man had tried to run me off the road, he actually chuckled. He mocked my fear and told me to head home, call if the truck ever popped up again. Angry and scared, I snapped back, promising to buy a gun because the police were no help. He didn't care, just shrugged and told me it was my right, then walked away. I was left to trek back to my car in a dark, empty lot, my heart pounding. I got home, slipped into bed where my husband slept, unaware, and let my tears flow. The next morning, I went to my husband's workplace to tell him everything. He was upset but tried to assure me that the man must have mistaken me for someone else. He figured I'd never encounter the truck again. My husband wasn't one to confront trouble, unlike the man I'm with now. He'd have taken action right then and there. After talking, I drove toward work. Then, there it was again, the black truck with the taped window. Panic surged. I dialed 911, my voice a high-pitched cry of terror, explaining that the man was back and I was being followed again. The dispatcher was kind, instructing me to keep calm. When the truck driver noticed me on the phone, he sped up, trying to escape, but I wasn't going to let him vanish. He took the same exit I needed. Was it possible he followed me home? The coincidence was too much to bear. I kept up with him, even as he recklessly swerved through traffic. Finally, police lights flashed ahead and the truck was stopped. I was directed down another street where I met the police chief. He was understanding, listened intently, and seemed truly concerned. I gave him all the details, the partial plate number, the truck, everything. The chief revealed that the officer who'd initially taken my report had quit his job. He probably hadn't cared to do his work properly. The man in the truck, now in handcuffs, was known to the police for his violent history. The chief assured me the man wouldn't bother me again. He thanked me for my attention to detail and said I was lucky to have escaped unharmed. His professionalism was a stark contrast to my previous encounters with the police. 8 years have passed since that harrowing experience. I left that spa job later that year, and I haven't seen that terrifying man or his truck since. I'm thankful for the chief's action and hope to never cross paths with that man again. Once upon a time, during a really cold winter in 2013, my mom's buddy, let's call him Uncle, had a pretty strange thing happen to him on New Year's Eve in China. He had been working late and was driving to his hometown, which was far away, and he had to be on the road for like 10 hours in the middle of the night. The roads were empty because everyone else was busy having a good time with their families and eating dinner, while Uncle was tired and trying to get home. Now, Uncle was driving, and he felt super tired and stressed from all the work and the long drive ahead. The roads were rough, but then he saw this shortcut on a mountain road that he thought could save him a bunch of time, so he decided to go for it. But that wasn't the best idea. If you've ever been to China or know about it, some mountain roads there can be really risky, especially at night when it's dark, snowing, and there's a cliff right there. It's like, if you slip even a little, it could be the end. As he was driving on this shortcut, he noticed something really weird. There was this man following his car, keeping up with it somehow, and it was just crazy because Uncle was driving, not walking, and the man was old too. So Uncle did something that he probably shouldn't have. He stopped his car to check out what was going on and who this man was. He got out, looked around, and nothing. No man, no footprints, nothing at all. He thought maybe he was just seeing things because he was so tired, so he shrugged it off and got back in his car to keep driving. But here's where it gets super spooky. Uncle looked in the mirror to check behind him, and yikes! The old man was now sitting in the back seat of his car, just chilling there. And that's when Uncle sort of lost it. He didn't pass out or anything, but his memory just blanked out for a bit. He doesn't remember driving after that, not one bit. The next thing he knew, he was driving out of the mountains. The sun was coming up, and the old man was gone. It was like some kind of miracle because he had no idea how he even got there, but he was safe. When Uncle got home, he told his mom what happened, and they laughed a bit about the ghost man. But when Uncle described the man to his mom, everything changed. She stopped laughing, looked super shocked, and ran to get this old photo. And when she showed it to Uncle, boom, it was the same man from his car. The same face, same clothes, everything. His mom got really emotional and told Uncle that the man was her dad, his grandpa, who died before Uncle was even born. Uncle had never seen a picture of his grandpa before because it made his mom too sad. But she thought that maybe Grandpa came back as a ghost to keep Uncle safe on that scary, snowy mountain road. Uncle always said he didn't believe in ghosts because he's a surgeon and sees a lot of sad stuff all the time. But after what happened that night, he started to wonder if maybe there was something more out there. And that's where the story pauses, leaving us wondering about the mysteries of that night and the ghostly grandpa who might have saved Uncle's life.